Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Luke Canellis at Fox 32 in Chicago. Joining me this week here on First and North from Fox 2 in Detroit, the voice of the Lions, Dan Miller. From Fox 6 in Milwaukee, Brandon Cruz. Welcome back, Brandon. And from Fox 9 in Minneapolis, Rob Olson for the first time. Great to have you, Rob. Here are the NFC North standings. Bears lead the division, but still have not clinched the NFC North title. The magic number, though, down to one. One Bears win or one Packers loss. Green Bay could play the Bears in the first round of the playoffs. Lions need to win their final two games and get help as well. Vikings are up and stuck in the middle of next April's draft. Awful place to be, right? The updated NFC playoff picture is as follows. Following San Francisco's win at Indy Monday night in Seattle, the Bears, Eagles, Rams, and 49ers have all clinched playoff berths. Let's bring back the crew. All right, Brandon, I want to start with you. First, how are all Packers fans handling what happened Saturday here in Chicago at Soldier Field against the Bears?
I think there's still a little disbelief. It's only been a couple of days, but at the same time, they've done a good job this year of being optimistic and understanding what's in front of them. They realize this team only needs a win or a Lions loss to reach the playoffs. So their biggest concern right now is the health of their quarterbacks. So to me, when you look at the fan base right now, sure, there's a lot of disappointment in what happened Saturday night at Soldier Field, but they know they have a home game against the Ravens. They also know that they finish up the season at Minnesota. So there is a lot of optimism that this team is going to the postseason.
All right, coming up later, we'll talk about the physical condition of Jordan Love. It's really turning into fantasy football for the Bears after Saturday night's. Man, it was a fairy tale made for TV finish if you saw it. I really don't know how else to explain what's going on in this town. I've been in this business for a long time. Yeah, look at this meme. I've been a season ticket holder, a Bears season ticket holder, even longer, going back to the days when they played at Wrigley Field. And I have struggled to remember any ending quite like Saturday's. And it's going to give all of us old guys a heart attack if it continues. The magnitude of the game, the Packers, how bad the Bears looked for the first 58 minutes, then the final 1:59 of regulation and overtime. Cairo Santos boots the 43-yard field goal, the onside kick recovery. Caleb Williams on fourth down against the blitz hits a wide-open undrafted rookie free agent who had his first catch of the season earlier in the game. And then the Packers fumble on fourth down in overtime, and the Williams to DJ Moore missile. And look at this. I don't even know how he caught the ball. Keyshawn Nixon's hands are literally blocking DJ Moore's eyes, and still he came up with that catch. This season is fun but unhealthy. Again, for guys my age, 6 wins when trailing with 2 minutes or less, most in a season in NFL history. And Saturday's finish had all Bears fans losing their minds.
It's the police department. Is everything okay?
Yes, sorry, we're big Chicago Bears fans and we just beat the Packers, so we were yelling, but we
Gotcha.
We will be quiet.
Let me bring in Dan Miller. Dan, you've seen a lot of football. Anything like Saturday night's finish?
No, that's what it's all about, man. And you know what? I can understand the Bears feeling. It's been a rough couple of years. You get a new head coach in there. Your hopes are high. And then you get some victories like this. And when you pull those probable losses and turn them into victories, I mean, that's what gives fans hope. And this whole thing is built on hope. And hope is now turned into reality for the Bears. And they are right there for all their dreams that they've had for them to become reality. So, you know what? Not an easy place to go play. Some teams may have to go do that in the postseason. We'll see how they close it out and what it looks like ultimately when the schedule comes out. But credit Chicago. It's a tough way to live, and it's a tough way to consistently win. But when you're getting it done and you're in the middle of it, man, it's a heck of a ride.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun in this town. Dan, I want to stick now to the Lions because my wife, she's kind of a football fan, still doesn't understand how the Lions scored at the end of the game and still lost. I told her about the pass interference call, the offensive pass interference call, but the 2 PI calls at the end, come on, man.
I was drafted by the Vikings playing in the NFC North. Went to Seattle for 4 years, right? And then I had an opportunity to sign another deal. So I went to Detroit. And I remember when I got there, guys were scoring. They were like, look, the league doesn't like us. And Nate, playing here is rough. Not just because we're trying to exercise demons, but when a game is on the line, it tends to go the other way. You know, and I'm like, no. I've been in the league for 7 years now. And I get it. There's some close calls, but football is football, right? And they're like, no, Nate, I don't think you understand it. When it comes to the Lions, there are certain games that just don't go our way, even though everybody knows they should.
All right, that's CBS analyst, former Lions receiver Nate Burleson on with Dan Patrick. Dan Miller, how long have you been doing the Lions games now?
This is my 21st year.
All right.
28th year in Detroit.
What did you think, number one, of the 2 calls at the end of the game, and number 2, what did you think of what Burleson just said?
Well, number one, I agree with him. The Amon-Ra call, when you see a receiver fully extend their arms, and they do it against a probable Hall of Famer in Ramsey, the officials are going to be locked into that. I didn't mind that flag. I thought the flag against Tesla that wiped out the previous touchdown, keep in mind that's 2 touchdowns in the final 4 plays of the game that were taken away from the Lions. I didn't like that call. Looked like he got pushed by the defender into the other defender, and it did not look like it was a pick to me. But the officials are so tuned in to these pick plays that the flags do come out, so you have to be extremely careful. I did not like the Tesla call. That being said, look, I got a similar experience to Nate. When I got here 28 years ago, I came from Washington, D.C., where we felt like there was a chance that Washington was going to win a Super Bowl every year. And I got to Detroit, and they're like, there's no hope here. They're never going to win. There's no hope. What are you talking about? You know, you got a season, you got a team, you got an off season, you can get this together. You don't understand. You can't get it together. And I saw a lot of years like that. And I wrote some down, guys. The Calvin no catch, which was one of the worst calls in the history of the NFL. The picked up flag in the playoffs against Dallas, which was unbelievable. On that same play, Dez Bryant running onto the field without a helmet, confronting the official and not getting a flag on that. That was a playoff game. The bogus face mask that came before Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary that allowed him to throw that. The effervescent referee Brad Allen blowing the call against Dallas on the 2-point conversion when he had to explain to him exactly what was going to happen, and he still couldn't get it right. K.J. Wright batting the ball out of the end zone on a Monday night when that's not allowed and cost the Lions a chance at a victory against Seattle. Look, I don't think the officials have it in for the Lions. I don't think they line up before the game and say, we're going to get Detroit. But there have just been a lot of really weird things that have happened to the Lions over the years. The nice thing is, when Dan Campbell got here, they started overcoming a lot of those. That game the other night, for 58 minutes, they didn't play well enough, or for 46 minutes, or whatever you want to put it, they didn't play well enough to win, and they left themselves vulnerable to some of those calls at the end.
Yeah, now they've got to win their last 2 games. I do have a real big question I want to ask you, but first I want to bring in Rob. Hey, Rob, Vikings have won 3 games in a row, too little, too late. But despite all the travel issues, which, meant more than 10 hours on buses and planes for the Vikings, and 3 more players go to injured reserve last week, Vikings still won in New Jersey against the Giants, right? Big win.
Yeah, well, and you would hope that you would win that game. I mean, you're playing against a team that has got 2 regular season wins. So you think is it a moral victory here that you can add another to the win column? But it was good to see McCarthy playing half the game and then going out, and Max Brosmer coming in to play half the game. And you think, okay, well, maybe we don't have this one in hand, but he managed to pull it off. So there's some, this is all just, again, moral victories here. The Vikings have nothing to gain except trying to develop McCarthy a little bit more. Now he's out for Thursday, and just hoping to have just a little bit of some pleasance to end the season here with. But a lot of this is you do want to see McCarthy get more game time, and so it's really kind of a bad news here that he's not going to be in the game on Thursday, and a Christmas gift perhaps to Detroit that's got so much that has to win out. To see Brosmer coming in. So, we'll see how this goes. Expectations, I got to say, are low. Hopes are high.
Let me ask you about McCarthy. I'm glad you brought him up because for those that aren't aware, he suffered a hairline fracture in his hand. So he's already missed a multiple amount of games so far this season with a high ankle sprain and a concussion. And this after missing last season with a torn meniscus. Hey, Rob, can the Vikings even depend on this guy?
Well, they hope they can, and that's the question here, is that what's the durability of this quarterback? I mean, you got a lot resting here. But again, you mentioned he missed all of last season. He's missed multiple games this season. This is now his third injury that's taking him out of play with a hairline fracture in his throwing hand. They said they did additional imaging on it to confirm that. It doesn't require any other really treatment. It's going to recover, much like a bone bruise is going to recover. But he's having trouble gripping the football, so he's out this week. They hope to have him back for the final game of the season against the Pack. But yet that's the question is, as we're developing him, they're working on his mechanics, obviously, and then told him, don't worry about the mechanics. Just have fun, get the ball out of your hands, get it to a receiver, just play the game. But now this concern about, is there a durability question? We don't have enough evidence so far because of, this being essentially his rookie season since he missed last year. But that will continue to be a thought that Vikings fans have. What did we get? Is this somebody that we're going to see continually go out with various injuries and spend, more time recovering and less time developing?
Yeah, we're going to find out. Dan, I want to go back to you. After watching Sunday's finish at home against Pittsburgh, do me a favor, in a minute, sum up the Lions' season so far.
Inconsistent. You know what? We're sitting here. They're the number 2 scoring team in the NFL. They were number 1 going into that game against Pittsburgh. And yet it feels like week after week we talk about things that they did not do offensively. Some of that's not fair because they haven't been good defensively either. If you look at the last 5 weeks, they have been at the bottom of the NFL defensively. And that was after being top 10 in most categories for the first 11 or 12 weeks. So really, it's been a defensive breakdown for the last third of the season and an offense that's been inconsistent much of the season. But if you ask me, Lou, to pinpoint exactly what it's just been not enough complementary football. When the offense has played well, the defense hasn't picked it up. And when the defense has played well, the offense hasn't picked it up. Good enough to be about 500, which is where they are.
Hey, Dan, before we close out the segment, Jennifer Hammond sometimes sits in for you. The Hammer does a terrific job. I worked with her here in Chicago many, many years ago. And, we scour social media, so nothing gets by Roger Blanco, our producer. But help me explain why Jen was drinking out of a shoe.
I guess there was a hole in the glass. That's the only thing I can think of. No, she had guaranteed a Lions victory. And, you all know Hammer, and she's going to find some way to drink. But she guaranteed a Lions victory. If they didn't win, she had to shoot the boot, which basically meant you got to pour some sort of beverage, alcoholic preferably, into the boot and drink it. And that's what she did right there. She was paying her penance, and she's probably never enjoyed losing a bet more than that right there.
She is the best. You tell the Hammer we love her. We need to take a quick time out. We will run down the injury report for Week 17 and how the Packers and Lions can clinch a playoff spot when we come back on this holiday edition of First and North.
It's Bears. What a day for football. It's game day.
No better way to start off the season than right here at the Walter Duck.
It's live. Be out here with the Bears, man. They are ready. Bears game day live, Sunday at 9:30 on Fox Chicago.
Welcome back here to First and North. Lou Canellis at our Fox 32 studios in Chicago, joined by Dan Miller from Fox 2 in Detroit, Brandon Cruz at Fox 6 in Milwaukee, and Rob Olson at Fox 9 in Minneapolis. All right, NFL Pro Bowl rosters announced on Tuesday. Ravens, Broncos, 49ers, and Seahawks led the way, each team sending 6 players to the Pro Bowl games this year. The Jets, Saints, and Vikings were the only teams with 0 Pro Bowl selections. Rob, how come no one was on that? One was on that Pro Bowl roster from the Vikings.
Yeah, and you wonder, did Justin Jefferson get overlooked in this one? I mean, he's obviously a superstar in the league, but then if you look at his stats and his games from this year, not as many receptions as you'd like to see him get. I mean, he's clearly, the shining star of the Vikings game in and game out, but there have been a number of passes that, you could blame it on the quarterbacks maybe, and a revolving quarterback roster here where the passes had not been good to him. They've been too high or too low or too short. There have been a number that just haven't gone his way because maybe he's just in too much coverage, or McCarthy's going through and not seeing him open. But then there have been a few that he's dropped this year as well that he shouldn't have, that he should have held on to. So that would be the one question I have is, does he deserve to be a Pro Bowler? A lot of Vikings fans and NFL watchers are going to say yes, but maybe those stats didn't do him well. Beyond that, this is only the 3rd time that the Vikings have not had somebody on the Pro Bowl roster. So, that is a pretty harsh assessment of the team's fortunes this year, that only the 3rd time in team history to not make that.
Yeah, Jefferson's had a rough season, that's for sure. Dan, 5 Lions made the team. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, and Jack Campbell. And for Campbell, it's the first time he's a Pro Bowler. And they also, I saw have 5 alternates. Anyone who didn't make it, did you think belonged on the Pro Bowl roster?
Jared Goff, 100%. He's got 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I believe the 2nd highest quarterback rating in the league. Jared Goff should be in that Pro Bowl. Look, I'm not going to get too worked up about Pro Bowls these days, but he should absolutely be on there. I would put him on there over Sam Darnold. I just think Jared has had an underrated season. There's just a narrative about him that apparently will never go away, that he's not good enough for some people at some times, but he's won a lot of football games here. He's done things here in Detroit that we haven't seen anybody do since the 90s. And I just think he's underappreciated. Again, I don't get too worked up about Pro Bowls, but if you're asking me, absolutely he should be there. Thrilled for Jack Campbell. He's a stud. He's going to have a lot more Pro Bowl bursts in his future.
All right, I'm glad you brought up Goff. Brandon, the Packers had only 1 Pro Bowler, and he won't even be able to play in this game, linebacker Micah Parsons. Do the Packers would you say they need more impact players? High impact.
Well, if you're looking for those kind of accolades, sure. But if you look at how good this defense has been, you don't necessarily need that. And this was a good defense last year. It's been very good this year with Micah Parsons. Yes, he's now out with the torn ACL. I would think maybe they need a little more impact on the receiving core, but injuries have created problems for the Packers that way, even though Jordan Love has had a great year and has been in the MVP conversation until what happened on Saturday night where he left early with the concussion. So to me, I think this is a team that's built very well and is very deep, and we've seen that with the success they've had despite the injuries. So to me, I don't know if they need more impact players, but obviously at this point in time with Micah Parsons down, I'm sure they would have loved to have somebody of that stature or very close to it to be able to replace him or at least take up the slack with him being out.
Don't go too far because I'm going to get right back to you. Bears had 3 players named to the Pro Bowl games. Center Drew Dahlman's going to his first Pro Bowl. Guard Joe Tooney, who's done it a few times in Kansas City and New England, and safety Kevin Byard. I have no idea how cornerback Nashawn Wright wasn't voted in. The guy leads the NFL with 8 takeaways and is right behind Byard, who leads the league with 6 interceptions. Wright has 5. Let me come back to you now, Brandon. What is the latest on the health of Jordan Love and also his backup, Malik Willis?
Well, on Tuesday is just a walkthrough for the team, but both are listed as limited in their practice. Jordan Love still in concussion protocol, so they didn't have a whole lot of detail as to what that means for him, other than he is out with the team. He's doing some limited things, but he is still in the concussion protocol. The same for Malik Willis, but his is a shoulder injury, so he's limited, and that means Clayton Tune is getting a lot of the work at practice, at least to start the week as they get ready for their Saturday night game against the Ravens. And Clayton Tune has played in the NFL, but basically he's only started one game. That was for the Cardinals. He played in 6 others overall, so not a lot of NFL experience, but he has played in NFL games. So that's kind of the big question this week, is if there's a chance to get Jordan Love on the field, can they, or is Malik Willis able to get through this shoulder injury? But Clayton Tune is a name that a lot of people are hearing this week, and a lot of people are Googling, trying to figure out, okay, what has he done? Where does he go? How does he fit? And the Packers are probably hoping that he still fits as the number 3 quarterback when they take the field Saturday night.
All right, Dan, Lions injuries, man, they just keep piling up. Graham Glasgow missed last week's game with a knee. Kirby Joseph's rough season. I mean, he's been dealing with injuries all year long. Finally comes to an end. Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't practice. Fill us in on what's going on with Detroit.
Yeah, Dan Campbell said it was positive, the latest on Amon-Ra St. Brown, but with a short week, he could not guarantee anything. My bet is always on Amon-Ra. He's one of the toughest guys in a league full of tough guys. If there's any way that he can get out there, he will. Graham, I think it's up in the air. I think you should see Kingsley Agwakin at center. Once again, we'll have to wait and see. And I think they were pretty pleased with the way that he played in this game. It's a whole different world, though, playing against the Vikings with all the different fronts that they show you and the different pressures they show you. It'll be a big afternoon on his plate for him to start at center, so that's something to keep an eye on. But, yeah, it's certainly been a part of this season, losing those 2 safeties, in particular on defense, and just the revolving door they've had on that offensive line with guys coming in and out of the lineup.
All right, we need to take one final time out here on the show. Coming up, we're going to preview Week 17 around the division next, right here on First and North.
It's the final word for Chicago sports fans.
This is what we wanted to see from the Bears.
Chicago Sports Tonight, covering the big plays.
Touchdown Bears!
And the next moves. Join Luke, Cassie, and Tina. Chicago Sports Tonight, weeknights at 9:30 on Fox 32 Chicago.
All right, here are the matchups for Week 17 in the NFC North. It all starts Christmas Day. Lions head to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, and Snoop Dogg is performing at half. I'll be watching. Saturday, Packers host the Ravens in another primetime matchup. Sunday Night Football, Bears in Santa Clara to take on the Niners, who looked really good, especially offensively, against the Colts Monday night. All right, I want to start with Dan Miller. No way the Lions lose this game. Dan, right?
Well, we'll see. I mean, the biggest thing is, going into last week's game, the Lions can make the playoffs if they win out and X, Y, and Z happens. The biggest thing there was winning out. They have not put together back-to-back wins in 10 weeks now. So go out, find a way to win this game against Minnesota, and then see what happens. But all you can do is handle what's right in front of you, and that's right now the Vikings.
All right. Rob, I know that the Vikings, well, how are they going to do against the Lions? Let me ask you.
Well, we got Max Brosmer now starting, and so a lot of questions there. People root for him because he's a former Gopher quarterback, undrafted, came in. You want him to do well so far. I mean, he kind of held on last week, but his other start earlier this season against Seattle, he had 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in his time. So, what has he played, 6 quarters or so? So that is a big question mark here about trying to hold off Detroit. Certainly on Christmas Day at home, it's the winter whiteout. Snoop Dogg, as you mentioned, a lot of people would like to see the Vikings really pull something off here, but there's the Brosmer question.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Let me end with you, Brandon. Packers, can they bounce back after such an emotional loss here in Chicago?
Yeah, I think they can, especially if Lamar Jackson is unable to go. I think this could be a big night for the Packers.
All right. Bears, still plenty to play for here in Chicago. So do the Niners. They have a lot to play for as well Sunday night. Brock Purdy's coming off career-high 5-touchdown game on Monday night. and the Bears have not had success in Santa Clara. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games against the Niners in California. The last win coming in 2018, which was the last time they won the NFC North. All right, everyone, great show as always. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, guys, and happy holidays to all of our viewers out there. For Dan, Brandon, and Rob, thanks for watching. I'm Luke Canellis. Happy holidays. We'll see you next week here on First and North.